Gerry Boyle, the director of Teagasc, joins us in studio now. Gerry, thanks very much for coming into us. Gerry, we saw in the VT there down in Kildalton College, the new farming simulator that's operating down there. We're living in a very different world now. A lot of technology is changing how education is taking place in the classroom. In addition to the simulator, at a broader level, how is Teagasc kind of rebuilding its teaching activities and its classroom learning to bring in new technologies into the educational environment?
Thanks, Claire. I guess the whole digital revolution is progressing at an extraordinary pace, not only within the classroom but outside the classroom, and the classroom has to be responsive. The simulator you're talking about is one of two simulators we have now in our colleges. We have a forestry harvesting simulator at our college in Ballyhaise, which is even more sophisticated than the one in Kildalton. But young people are really tuned in to the whole digital technology. I mean, they're avid users of all the digital tools and social media tools. So it's a kind of a natural progression for them to take up with the physical technologies that are also on offer. But we've had to revamp our educational program the last couple of years, looking to the future in terms of requirements. And it's not only the digital dimension of that, although that's a very important component in terms of how we teach. But we find that our students in agriculture and forestry and horticulture and equine, they love the practical application of what they learn. They're less comfortable inside in the classroom. So we've had to rethink our whole way of teaching programs and the balance between what students learn in the classroom and what they learn outside. And anything, students love to be able to apply their learning. So I think the simulators that we have are really, really popular with students for that reason. And we've adopted what we call now a problem-based learning approach, where with the digital age, students can learn independently far more, and but they need to have a focus for their learning, and that's hence the emphasis on problem-based learning. And we borrowed a lot from thinking in Europe in that respect. So I would say over the next few years, the major change, actually, it mightn't be visible externally, will be the whole approach to learning, with the emphasis very much on students applying knowledge to practical farming situations.
And do you think technology can play a stronger role then? Do you think that the student will be better prepared after taking part in technology such as simulators in the classroom side before they go out into the yard, before they go to the practical element?
No, absolutely. Well, obviously there's a cost reason why we're doing this. Machines are very expensive, so if the student is going to crash out on the machine, it's better that it happens on a simulator rather than on the real thing. From a health and safety point of view, it's critically important as well. But I think you have to look at the digital revolution in the round. I mean, it's not just about, as I say, simulators. I mean, students are using digital tools to learn, and they're very comfortable learning through social media. And we have to provide them with that opportunity. And to some extent, we're catching up with students. I mean, they're leading the way. I mean, they're using AgriLand, for example, and they're using all the available digital tools. And we're trying to now incorporate that into the teaching program.
So, Gerry, the students, as you say, they're digital students. So does that require new thinking, new budgeting strategies, new staffing models, as well as the curriculum for Teagasc education?
No, absolutely. I mean, it certainly requires our teachers to be tuned into that digital world, so to speak. And some of them acquire this through their own self-learning. Others we will need training programs and so on. But it's happening right across the agricultural sector. We've just announced an investment of 40 million in precision dairy program, which we led from Moore Park over the next 5 or 6 years. And that's all going to be about the application of digital technologies and the Internet of Things to dairy farming. Now, so that's going to be happening on the dairy farm. That has to be reflected then within our colleges. I mean, for example, I would say Pasture Base Ireland is at the forefront of the application of digital technology through the to the measurement of grass and the transportation of that data via Bluetooth through to the cloud, and then analysed in a form that farmers can take decisions about. So that's where farming is going, that's where research is going. So our educational programmes have to be really in line with that.
I suppose at the moment as it stands, we don't have a whole lot of evidence about technology and education and the results, what results it's producing, because it's growing, it's changing all the time. Are there concerns there about that type of education undermining the more conventional classroom role of the teacher?
I don't think so. I mean, I was in education myself. I spent 20 years in university, you know, and there's a room for all modes of communication, really. And education is about effective communication at the end of the day. I mean, I don't think, I hope we won't ever abandon, maybe it's the whiteboard and marker, or it used to be the chalk and blackboard. But we blend that with the digital tools. You know, it's standard now, for example, to use Moodle or Blackboard as a backup to the classroom. And students expect that. I mean, if there is one criticism I would have as an educator is sometimes with digital technology, students can be more passive. I mean, education has to be an active activity. I used to have a professor in college talked about the need to focus your brain to the point of a pen. I think that's still very true, particularly in an applied subject like agricultural science. So I think it's a blend of all approaches to communicating, to igniting that spark within the student in the classroom.
Gerry, we're almost out of time, but there's a lot of talk recently about robots in the future and robots replacing humans. There's a lot of worry about that, especially in rural towns. In the classroom, is there a role for artificial intelligence in terms of teaching tutors or teaching assistants in the future? Is that something Teagasc is looking at? Or
well, in research, of course, we are looking at that. I mean, we're using robots now in our research programs, particularly in food. I think artificial intelligence and augmented reality tools, they're fascinating tools in the idea that you can, for example, say have students in a machinery course, you know, looking at the innards of a machine, of an engine, you know, in virtual reality. I mean, that's an extraordinary tool. That hasn't happened yet, but I expect as we sort of study these technologies within a research environment, we'll translate them into the classroom.
Thanks, Gerry. That's great. And we'll be watching very closely.